So, welcome to the Etihad Cargo Connections today with Stand for Long magazine, and I'm your host, as usual, Aurelian Durmion. Today, with the backdrop of the upcoming Bahrain International Trophy race, we speak to Oliver Gaisford St. Lawrence, a man counted as one of the world's bloodstock agents and chairman of the Federation of Bloodstock Agents in Great Britain for the past 6 years, right?
Morning.
Oliver works with key Bahraini owners such as Sheikh Nasser bin Hamad Al Khalifa Victorious Racing, Sheikh Khalid bin Hamad Al Khalifa KHK Racing, and the leading Bahraini owner trainer Fawzi Nas, among others. So first of all, Oliver, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So when did your love for horses begin? And how did you get into the bloodstock industry specifically?
My parents were very involved in horse racing in Ireland. I was brought up in Ireland, and they only liked flat racing. We have racing over the jumps as well in Ireland and England, but they only liked flat racing. And I used to be taken off racing whenever I was at home in the summer months. And I suppose it's sort of slowly crept up for me from there as a child.
Wow, excellent. So it's kind of family related.
Correct. My father was a small-time breeder in Ireland. He was involved with the Irish Turf Club, and a lot of their friends were involved in racing. I mean, that was one of his passions, was racing. So I grew up knowing an awful lot of the people inside racing.
Excellent. Was it easy to move from Ireland to England in this industry?
Oh, very much. I'm an Anglo-Irish, so brought up in Ireland, but went to school in England from the age of 7 and flew back and forth. And yeah, I've always treated them as counties of each other. Both countries probably hate me saying that, but that's how I've.
That's great. And how did you get involved with owners from Bahrain, such as Fawzi Nas and KHK Racing?
It stretches back close. It must be close on 30 years ago now. I've been coming down to Dubai and Saudi Arabia to see owners and trying to find new owners. And I met a Bahraini owner called Ibrahim Alafu, who still races in Bahrain. And I went to Bahrain to see him, and he introduced me to Fawzi Nas. And very quickly, Fawzi and I struck up a business relationship, and I've been buying for Fawzi for, I'd say, close on 30 years now, and it's
Wow.
got bigger and bigger, and he's kindly introduced me to his friends and things. So yes.
Amazing. How does it differ, like in terms of requirements, like dealing with owners from, let's say, Bahrain compared to Ireland?
Well, I never got myself a really big spending owner in Ireland or England. I had some very nice spending owners, but you're always working very much to a budget, a middle tier budget, trying to buy nice horses to go places. Once I got a bit more involved with Fawzi, and let's say then he brought on the two sheikhs from Bahrain, Sheikh Khalid and Sheikh Nasser. The money increased, and so looking at horses I wouldn't have considered being able to buy before. So that's would be the main difference, and they're aiming very much at the very top. I mean, they want to win the big races, as everyone does. But when you're working with a bit less money, there's a bit more of a dream, and there's a bit more reality, whatever.
That's amazing. Great. And what went into buying horses like, let's say, Eldar Eldarov, Sahir, Salute the Soldier, or Watch My Tracer, for example?
So I didn't understand the question.
Like, what went into buying those horses?
So what went into? Well, they were. I mean, the yearling sales happen in the autumn every year, And between myself and my colleague Arthur DeBell and Henry Candy's daughter Emma Erskine-Crumb, we go and we see every single yearling at the sales, and obviously narrow down the search. And what went into them, I don't know. We narrow. We think of the nicer horses at the sale. It's a very subjective opinion, but and we definitely miss a few that turn out to be very good. But hopefully, we've found enough to keep everyone happy.
We always all want the best ones, but sometimes there are hit and misses for sure.
Exactly, and it's partly how they move and their pedigree, and their mind has a lot to do with this, and you can be put off by what they might do down in the sales paddocks or up around the sales ring, and you suddenly think, oh, I don't know whether I like that temperament. So someone else buys it and it turns out to be a minor issue.
Fair point. So we all mostly, well, personally, I believe that, what makes you so successful is not only finding great horses, but especially the aftercare you offer that many others really don't. One of those services is helping owners find trainers. How do you go about matching owners with trainers?
There's no clear answer to that, but some if you're a smaller owner, you don't want to be probably going into one of the bigger yards, because you can be your horse is probably not cost so much, and it can be lost in the back of a big yard with big up the front. And it depends what some owners want. I mean, the guys I work with, they like everything to be told to them, nothing hidden. They want to, complete transparency and get good communication from the trainer to be able to enjoy it. They're not often able to turn up at the races in England, so being sent regular videos and regular updates is how they can enjoy the whole experience. And I think COVID actually had some benefits. We're on it at the moment. One of them is Zoom, as we all got used to using Zoom, and communicating, sharing of videos on WhatsApp and things it's got so much better and easier, and everyone's familiar with it.
Wow, that's a good change for sure.
Well, I personally think so. It's made life easier and taught the slightly older, not very old, slightly older generation like me get on with it.
So Oliver, you have a reputation for being able to spot talent quite easily, let's say, without giving away all of your secrets. What, in your opinion, make a good racehorse?
There's no real secret to it. Everyone has their own formula. It's putting together pieces of a jigsaw.
That's a good example for sure. I like
that. You've done your research on the catalogue and the pedigrees that are coming up in the sale, and worked out what you think are the nicer pedigrees or those that have potential. And then you get to the sale, and you say, between me and the team, we go and see every single yearling. So you're trying to work out those that look the most athletic, and those that have the conformation that isn't going to trouble them. Every horse can race. How long they can stand the pressures of racing, and without having some lameness issue that you're going to have to be treating. That's a little bit harsh, but have how long they can withstand it. And you can't look into their heart and see whether they can run through the pain barrier like humans do at the Olympics and things. You can't look into got to hope that they have a will to win. It's all pieces of a jigsaw, and then the vet comes along and vets it and says that he finds something small on an X-ray that rules the horse out, or makes it a risky investment for the money you're having to put involved. So there's lots of pieces.
Good. What are some of the best races you've been involved with?
Um, I hope I haven't quite got there yet.
Hopefully more to
I'm
come.
wanting to win the Epsom Derby.
Ah, here we go.
Real.
Mhm.
I've bought the dam of a derby when Harzand, who won the derby a few years ago. But yes, I'm still hoping to reach those mega heights. But Bradsell winning the King's Stand this year for Sheikh Nasser was a big moment.
Mhm.
Eldarov, he's now won the Irish St. Ledger and the English St. Ledger. I'd never won a British or Irish classic before, so that was a big moment as well, you know.
Beautiful, beautiful. In 2017, Oliver, you became the chairman of the Federation of Bloodstock Agents. How did that happen?
Um, Behind the scenes, I don't know how it happened, but Jeffrey, who'd done the Phil, had been chairman for quite a lot, some time, asked me if I was willing to take it on, and I hadn't quite realised entirely what it involved, but it's been I've enjoyed being chairman. It's had its moments of controversy for Bloodstock agents, but it's been good trying to promote the federation and promote the fact that all this 50 odd members, there were the good sides of being agents. We you know, if you deal with a federation of Bloodstock agent, you know you're in good hands, and their integrity is good. And yes, hopefully we can promote each other and ignore some of the bad press that agents of all varieties get.
Perfect. I want to talk a little bit more about Arthur Dobell. He joined your team in 2021. What did you see in him that really attracted you to retain his services?
Arthur and I got on from the first day. I mean, thought it was important to when he first came to work for me, he was only doing a temporary job, and we got on very well. We actually share the same birthday. That was absolutely nothing to do with
Quite random, very random.
Brandon. And I found him to be very honest, very hardworking, keen to learn. I definitely needed some help. The business had grown, and I did think about employing someone who had far more experience than Arthur. But I wanted to slightly be able to help mold Arthur into what I wanted him to be or thought he should be, rather than taking on someone who'd done something good like the Godolphin Flying Start, and they would have come with their own ideas and their own ways of doing business. So he's been a success, and I hope we keep working together for many a year.
For sure, for sure. You've been involved in this bloodstock industry for many years. What changes have you seen during your time in this industry?
I think there's the countries that are getting involved has changed. When I first got involved in the industry, there was the Americans like buying our racehorses a lot, and there was some investment. I mean, Sheikh Mohammed and the Dubai team were very much investing at the time, but they still are. But the market has moved far more towards the Middle East. That's becoming a far bigger part of the European bloodstock scene. Racehorses, there are probably less going to America now than there used to be. But Australia has really kicked on, particularly with the middle distance and stairs. The industry, it ebbs and flows as to who's involved. Luckily, everyone seems to want to have a bit of the European bloodstock, and it's still seen as the I'd like to think as the centre of bloodstock. I'm sure an Australian would correct me on that.
It seems very well connected between Great Britain, Middle East, and Australia, mostly.
Yes, I mean, I say they are definitely the sort of dominant powers at the moment. The Middle East keeps on finding new races. The Bahrain Trophy is going up in prestige all the time. It's now a group 2 this year, and the race looks very strong. Saudi Arabia, there's the horses, and they're getting stronger and stronger in what they want and the amount of horses they want. Strong for some time. And Australia has an insatiable appetite for horses that can run in the Melbourne Cup. I mean, last night, the Melbourne Cup, or the early hours this morning, Melbourne Cup was run, and I think there were 24 runners, and 20 of them were born in Europe. So it has a really strong pull for the Bloodstock.
And is there any changes you'd like to see in the future?
There are, but it's they're all little changes. I mean, I think the style of selling over here probably needs to speed up, mostly for domestic reasons, staff and things. There are small little tweaks we can make on the sales companies, I think, or at least try and see if they work. British racing needs to be careful it doesn't export all its best horses out to the Middle East and Australia. But luckily, a lot of Middle Eastern owners, like Victorious and KHK, want to have horses here and race them here and be turning up at Royal Ascot and places.
That's good. That's good for sure. What are the latest trends within the bloodstock industry that you see happening right now?
I think for a number of years, that market to go to Hong Kong and places was for sprinter milers.
Wow.
And now, I'd say, with the Middle Eastern big money for the Dubai World Cup and Saudi Cup and even the Bahrain Trophy, there's and the Australians wanting those middle distance horses. Middle distance horses are coming back a little bit more in fashion, and sales. Those middle distance horses, which there are less of them at the sales because of the trends over the last few years, seem to be coming back into fashion. I mean, Nathaniels are doing very well around the world, and Coolmore have got a heap of middle distance stallions, and Dubawi goes from strength. Frankel's a staying stallion. So I think there's for the last, up until about 5 years ago, if you had a middle distance stallion, it was very hard to stand it in Europe and get big money for it. But it's beginning to turn back towards those middle distance stallions, I think.
Okay, great. What horses sourced by you, Oliver, do you expect to see racing in the GCC this season?
We Sheikh Nasser bought a horse called Khalif out of the Arcana Arc sale at the beginning of October. He runs in the Bahrain Trophy. He's only recently arrived down in Bahrain. Fauzi tells me he's training well at the moment, but we'll have to see how he really copes down there. And it was a very tough race. A horse that Sheikh Nasser already owns called Irregular Warfare, that's with Roger Varian. He won about a month ago, having had an injury and being laid off for the summer, but we think he's quite a smart horse, and he's gone down to Dubai. There's a number of horses, nothing specifically I can tell you we think is a world beater. Salute Soldier's back for another year, but he's getting older, and time is definitely marching on with him. So we'll see.
Sure. Well, anyway, that looks all very promising for sure.
I hope, inshallah.
Exactly. Now let's focus a little bit on Bahrain itself. Given there's been a large amount of investment coming from there recently, what do you think can we learn from racing there?
I mean, I think they're growing their racing in Bahrain organically and at a good pace. I mean, they've come in with one very well thought of race that seems to be, really taking off in the Bahrain Trophy. And then they've got the Bahrain Series, horses rated 85 to 100. And they're coming in nice and steadily rather than trying to put on a big day that they may not have been able to manage if they put it on all in once. So organically, I think they have plans. Well, I know they have plans to grow the amount of international races and to be attracting more people to come and race in Bahrain with their horses. So, not overfacing themselves, I think, is a good thing to have learned. They've done it at Sheikh Issa's, been very careful, I think, to grow it at a pace that they can cope with. And I know all the trainers and owners love going down there. It's got a very good name, and they look after everyone very well. Which if they put on 5 races and they had 5 times the amount of owners and things, would be a little bit more tricky for them to do.
So is it quite different from like Saudi Arabia or other places in the Middle East?
It's more relaxed, I think, than a lot of the other places.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a relatively small race stand, the stands in Bahrain, which give it a very homely feeling. I mean, it feels a bit like Deauville or Newmarket, you like also. And yeah, it's far more relaxed. Whereas when you go to Dubai, it's Meydan is a beautiful race course, but on a smaller day's racing, it's a very big stand, and the security is very tight. In Saudi Arabia, I went to the first World Cup there. I haven't been, Saudi Cup. I haven't been back there for a Saudi Cup since. But the security around the whole thing makes it much more difficult to truly enjoy it. Whereas Bahrain, security is present, but it's not in your face.
I understand. Great. If you could sum up racing in Bahrain in one word, what would it be?
3 I tossed up between what I was going to.
Fair enough.
So, exciting and thriving. I think
Excellent.
Side to it. It's
very good.
Trying to go places and is succeeding.
Mm-hmm. Great. Finally, our last question. What does the future hold for OLS Bloodstock?
I mean, I don't plan to conquer the world. I have no ambitions to have.
No.
People, I think the benefit of it for a long time being just me, but now that after the bells come on board, is that we can offer a personal service and to steady away. I mean, obviously, I want to buy a Derby winner and be regularly racing those big races. And what gives me pleasure is seeing the pleasure that the results give to my clients. So hopefully we can keep producing results and just assemble a really nice bunch of horses to be racing in the big meetings around the world.
That's excellent. That seems almost like a whole big family, this industry.
Well, it's a small family, really, but I like clients becoming friends at a level. I mean, it's far more fun doing business with people you like and are friendly with, and I'm very lucky that I like all my clients. I hope they like me. Most of them seem to be coming back year after year, and hopefully we're doing something right.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Oliver, for the interview today.
Well, thank you, Aurelian. I don't know whether I was interesting, but I hope I've given you some insight.
For sure. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you.